home run haijawafikia, so we keep on building until we are able to attract them to answer our questions and ask us questions. Na unaona wako na ile eta presidential exploratory committee. One of the people that was on that is on that, the chairperson. She used to speak here on the space, but after amewekwa kwa exploratory ya Okia akakuwa mgumu kupatikana, so hatuwezi mchukulia vibaya. Ni hivyo tu, maisha inabadilika, unapanda level, sasa inakuwa ngumu kuja home run. But anyway, maisha iko hivyo. Red Hand Republic, utaelewa kwa nini tunaifanyanga bila wageni. If I wanted to host it with guests, definitely I wouldn't be celebrating 2 years of home run. I'd probably be at home somewhere. Guests wanakuambia tunakuja, alafu akwambia something came up. After umefanya marketing, ukisema vile anakuja, then something just comes up. Naona John Seremani ametujoin hapa, but I will definitely take that an advisement, and I will also try to send that question to Okia, of course, and of course Maraga. Nisikie wata react ama kama they will be open to that. Of course their teams might decide to answer our DMs finally. Haya, tuko pale hivi kwenye tickets zetu za event, tuko 11 of 50. Book your ticket right now. Na nangojea ya Dolphin ifike ni tufike 12. But yes, you're still far off from the mark. If you have not gotten a ticket for home run in PP at 2, kindly get one. Hata kama uattend, you can get a ticket and we'll give it to someone who is probably not in a position to pay for it but wants to attend. So John Seremani, talk to us.
Vipi vita?
Poa sana. Poa.
Good. Nashukuru. Everything's good by here as well. So
Network yako
nilikuwa kaniko
John. Kuna shida na your mic.
Okay. No worries.
Abu sichomoa earphones ama kitu kama hiyo, then we refresh. Yes, kuna hiyo scratch iko kwa mic yako. Let's see what else you can get from the comment section. Wadalego anasema in 1998 Moi could not be impeached in Kenya. Kenya impeachment is a money-making business for MPs. Yes. Hata ma MCAs, they are actually holding it over their governors that they will impeach them. So so that the governors can drop a thing or two pale kwa their M-Pesas. Wanafikiria hatujui. Diamonds, talk to us.
No, I thought somebody else wanted to speak, but I wanted to say something on what Red Hand said. I didn't want to make it back and forth. But yeah, nimeona ni kama uko na space kwa mic kidogo. So
yeah, go ahead.
There are many assumptions that he's making, sorry. To my view, there are many assumptions that he's making. First of all, there is the assumption and there is the assumption that he's making, anasema, if it was a parliamentary system, or those MPs would have been paid to impeach the president. How, man? How? These guys were paid to impeach the deputy. So, and if we talk about having a parliamentary system where we are talking at how much should be paid, how much could have been paid, who could have been paid, who could not have been paid, I'm sure at that point you realize that system cannot work here. Today it can't. Bado tuko tu mbali kabisa. Those systems work when you have probably parties that even survive decades. For example, most of our political parties, immediately a political party has actually managed to gain power, it disintegrates and dies. If ODM would have gotten to power, by today would have disintegrated and died. KANU when they lost, ikapotea hivyo. Ile yenye Kibaki alitumia alikuwa anaita TNU ama alianza na Alianza na NAC ikakufa 2007, akakuja akapata ilikuwa inaitwa PNU, hiyo ikakufa 2013. Uhuru akaenda tamu ya kwanza na TNA ikakufa 2017. Akaenda tamu ya pili na Jubilee ikakufa 2022. Wote tunajua what has happened to UDA already. Like we don't even need to talk about it. The chances for Ruto running on UDA are almost zero. They are almost zero. In fact, I will be so surprised if Ruto runs on UDA. I actually think he will run on ODM. I really think Ruto will run on an ODM ticket. But that is a story for another day. What I'm saying is, our parliamentary system bado tuko mbali, and our political parties are also not giving us what we expected. Maybe we just need to choose MPs without any political party. Would it be better? I don't know. But even the independents, immediately they get into parliament, they start moving towards a certain party. Sawa, Redand, please don't give too much hope in a parliament that cannot reject a bad finance bill. We didn't need to go to the streets if we had a working parliament. Nah, don't.
I think independence of thought is also one thing.
Tunategemea sana bana.
Independence of thought is something that we also need to talk about, because I feel like most of our MPs lack independence of thought. I really want to go on a back and forth with Red, but I see John Seremani has joined us. So let's get some bit of John and then we'll go to Red to answer as well. John.
Is it, are you able to hear me?
Yes, now you're better.
Sawa. Nashukuru. Pepita, by the way, let me first begin by there was a comment about people kind of growing too big for spaces such as yours, and I keep on saying, like, even when you are doing a birthday for home run, that somebody like somebody like Nani, you Trump, in this election cycle, he rode onto power because he was able to make that connection with podcasters and generally people who watu kawaida wenye wanamsikia, because if you know, the dynamics have shifted away from old school media, radio, TV, and people normally consume their media in convenient ways, through podcasts and even here on X. So I think, of course, for a presidential candidate, access can be difficult for various reasons. Kunaweza kuwa kuna mtu pale pia akuangalii vizuri, or maybe just, the guy just has a lot to do. Kwa tusiwa forget, we have members who are part of Okia's team, but they themselves couldn't even bring him because saa zingine kazi ya senator na nini it's just too much. So hopefully in time this is something that we call kukuwe na hiyo feel ya public participation in the candidate of someone that we like or that we could be disposed to like. So hopefully that's a thing that will change in time. Now, there's a point that has been going around in this particular discussion. Let me just say that, okay, the issue, my caution would be, the issue is not necessarily that a presidential system is better than a parliamentary one, because what we have right now is a presidential system. And it's not necessarily about the system, it's about the quality of people that we've seen there. And that quality of people in parliament is a reflection of our politics and our voting patterns. Because to ongea tu, like, honestly, in your most sober moment utapigia Sudi kura, kusema tu kweli. But kuna watu waliamka wakapigia Sudi kura. And it's a sign, it's a manifestation of the kind of politics we play, ethnic-based politics, wrapped up by ethnic, like a party is not ideological. It's about regional numbers and those kinds of compactions, Sasa hapa kwa UDA initially ilikuwa Wakalenjin, Wakikuyu, and a sprinkling of Luya, but Luyas walikuwa with their own parties, okay? So this kind of politics is what generates the kind of MPs that we have who are beholden to the executive. And that's a caution to the side that says that, presidential is better than parliamentary. Parliamentary systems like in UK, I mean, they've been working really well for a long time. So it's not necessarily about the system in that case. But also, there's a caution, kwa sababu we can't also say parliamentary is better than presidential because, there's a philosophy in how you break down power when you're setting up government. Ile yetu, ya separation of powers, it's looking at the possibility, if you unite legislative and executive, there's an arm that will be very, very powerful. And by the way, even just if you ukipita hizo studies of government, you realize that the most powerful is the most dangerous, and the most dangerous is the one that is closest to the people. Hizo ni like, and which of the three arms is closest to the people? It's parliament. Parliament is the one that is closest to the people. I want to agree with, I think there was somebody who said, what ideally should have happened last year was that your finance bill was wamekataa, and we should have been already with laws in place on recalling. Like, the guy delayed IBC for a reason, because now you couldn't recall your MPs because IBC, the commission is not constituted. But if it was already set up, and even the laws themselves surrounding recalling, because ukisoma constitution, imagine, and this is my biggest gripe with our committee of experts. How do you leave something as important as recalling for parliament to make laws upon it? Of course, they're going to make it very hard. Yani, if it's up to me to decide how I'm going to be, my job is going to be reviewed, to decide how that's going to happen. Do you think I'm going to make it easy? Hata sahi, kusema tu kweli, ni ndoto kwanza kusema ati you're going to recall right now. Ni ndoto, because the time constraints, and by the way, hata tukifika kwa ground when we are now looking for signatures, do you think these guys are just going to let it lie down? They've been used to goons, so far. There was the Molo president who was killed. Among many suspicions is that he was more than likely to replace the Molo MP, in case that he had already started a civic action to galvanize the people so that they can recall this guy, when IBC would have been, like, he was the most likely candidate, okay? And that's one of the suspicions of why probably he was murdered. So I think, kusema tu kweli, there's a problem. I don't think it's per se the philosophy of the system, of how the system is set up. It can work either way, but only if it's set up well. And then it's backed up by correct politics in how we choose the people we send there. Because kusema tu kweli, I can never understand how people who clearly, by their utterances, by their actions, they have never showed, the public interest at heart. They have never like kazi yao tu ni kuwa parrots. How is it that wewe unaamka, you wake up, the road between your place and your polling booth ni matope, there's no development, and you go to vote for that same person? There's something wrong with you. You're not normal. So as Kenyans, first of all, we have to become normal first. And then however the system is, we'll be able to change it once we are voting and doing correct politics, you know. Otherwise than that, hakuna venye, there's no way. We can talk about the philosophies of parliamentary and presidential, but it's never really going to go anywhere. And even like right now, I know it's a lot of anger that is causing people to consider recalling and all these things, but it has to go beyond rage and anger. It has to become ideological. There has to be a settling, an intellectual settling into the facts of the case. In majority of people, we don't need everybody. We just need a majority. Asante Pepita.
Asante John Seremani for that. Namona Stevens Oro ako hapa, but I had given Red Handed a chance to sit on the bench for a minute. So Red Hand, talk to us, then I'll go to Stevens and Japonji. Red Hand.
Oh, yes. I would like to just give some key pointers on the proposition for parliamentary system of governance. Of course, I'm a Kenyan, so the views of the majority of Kenyans is what I adhere to. So if Kenyans do not trust a parliamentary system of governance, then it's not something I am pushing for. But then just to give some key context, people should know that before the 2010 constitution, there was a constitution before that. And that constitution was responsible for all the problems we were facing. Now, Raila Odinga was pushing for the implementation of the Bomas draft. As a matter of fact, this constitution came about because of Raila Odinga's push, right? And the entire push was for us to have the Majimbo system. Of course, it was not fully implemented. We were to have some regional power delegated to the people, not just 47 counties. And we were to also have a ceremonial president and an executive prime minister. These are some of the reasons why you see this constitution is not working. Because the way this constitution was propositioned, when the people were sitting down and talking about it, we were to have an executive prime minister. But during the Naivasha talks, you can read Miguna's book, and you can also read some of the opinions of the members of the panel that were discussing this constitution. We were to have an executive prime minister and a ceremonial president. Now, the work of the ceremonial president was to be head of state, a unifying factor for the people. That his work was to assent to bills, to attend national events, to also offer other state duties on recommendation by the prime minister, and also to be Kenya's representative in the international arena, going to conferences and things like that. That was the work of the president. And when he noticed that Parliament was not doing its work, he could recommend the recalling. What's this word I'm looking for? He could recommend the dissolution of Parliament and things like that. The executive prime minister, on the other hand, would have these powers that Ruto currently has today. Now, in a situation where you have an executive prime minister, you would not be having tribal appointments. For example, you would not be having William Ruto appointing 90% of his appointments being Kalenjin. You would not have Uhuru Kenyatta having 90% of his appointments being Kikuyu. Because the members of parliament would call him to parliament immediately to ask this executive prime minister, who has told you we want a tribal caucus in the executive, things like that. The purpose of the new constitution was to bring back freedom and justice to the people and economic wellness. In its entirety, it was to have an executive prime minister. There are even propositions, by the way, although they never made it to the Bomas draft. There are even propositions to have what we have in the United States as state attorneys, like people elected, state officers elected by the people as representatives of justice, as the people's prosecutor. As you can see now, we have governors stealing, and you only have one DPP, one director of public prosecutions, who has to deal with theft in national government, theft in county government, theft by members of parliament, theft by MCAs. According to the opinions of most people, but it didn't get to the Bomas draft, most people who are living in the diaspora, they wanted us to have state attorneys. Like in every county, after every 2 or 3 years, you were supposed to elect or re-elect your state attorney. This was someone who you've elected to fight corruption. That is his mandate. Si ati kuenda parliament or anything. Kazi ya huyu jamaa ilikuwa, your work is to, in this county, to check the governor. Governor akiiba, kotini. Governor akiua, kotini. Governor akibribe, kotini. Right? These were some of the things that were supposed to be implemented. But then they never made it to the Bomas draft. And there are things that made it to the Bomas draft as well. In their entirety, they were not implemented. This is where you have a devolution, but you're not feeling the fruits of this devolution. Because the president can steal and use the money that he has stolen to pay MPs. And you cannot call the president to come to parliament to answer questions on this theft. Yeah, those are some of the problems that we had with that. And now moving on from that, so that I can give other speakers a chance to speak. Since I know the parliamentary system of government is not favorable, our only option then is to deal with the constitution as it is. And if we're dealing with the constitution as it is, I would side with Kina Dolphin and the rest who propose for the people, for the Kenyan people to own their government. To own your government, as I'm always saying, you need to have your own political parties, right? Your own political parties. In other words, someone like Maraga, and I even really like the way Maraga is handling this, not announcing his party yet he's walking around with the leader of the United Green Movement Party. In other words, he's setting it up in a way that come when the campaign period is allowed to begin, which I think is, I don't know if it's 6 months to the general election, the people of the United Green Movement Party will call a caucus of delegates and say, guys, let us choose Maraga as our candidate for the presidential election. It's not Maraga who has gone out, registered a party, and then now started telling people come and join. This is not what is happening. What is happening is there's a party called the United Green Movement, which has existed for a number of years in this country. And this party has now decided that out of all the candidates that we are seeing, we are going to choose a certain leader. And this leader, they've chosen, it seems they're going to choose Maraga. What does this allow? This allows that if David Maraga decides to go against them, if he is ever able to become president, they can as well say that, Mr. Maraga, you are no longer a member of our party, and because you're a president who no longer belongs to a party, the president would have to forgo his seat and would have to have a national election or whatever the processes are of replacing a president are or would be at that time. Therefore, to the Kenyans in this space, I'd like to ask you, why not follow the process that the United Green Movement is following? Don't wait for the candidate of your choice to go and form a party with his millions and billions, register members of the governing council that he wants, and that are loyal to him. And then now he comes and tells you, come join my party, as Gachagua has done. That can only tell you that DCP party will never belong to the members of DCP party. It will always belong to Gachagua. Instead, go and register your party. Go register your party, get members, then walk around the country looking for people, telling them, wewe unataka kuwa MP, kuja, join our party. Wewe unataka kuwa governor, kuja, join our party. In that way, this person, once they become MP or governor or president, they are not the ones who chose the members of the governing council. They are not the ones who own them. They are not the ones who own the members. In such a way, when that governor or MP goes against you, you don't have to recall them. You don't have to go through that process of getting signatures all around the constituency and all that. You will have very easy way. You can just come back as members of that party and vote that this person is no longer a member of this party. Once you see this person is no longer a member of this party, that means that person doesn't have a party in parliament, that he's in parliament illegally. And they don't even need a recall. Immediately you go to court and say, since this person is no longer a member of this party, he's kicked out. To know how well that works, you saw what happened to Jalango. When Jalango was, when Baba and Ruto were not on the same page, and Jalas was walking around with Ruto everywhere. He was threatened and told, we are going to call the governing council of ODM and we're going to kick you out of ODM. And once we do that, we are going to have a by-election in Langata. You see, it's very easy if you own your own party. You don't have to recall. You just remove them from the roster of members of your party. And that way, that MP is kicked out. So please, just own your parties. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that submission, Red Hand Republic. Mine is to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that Home Run with PP is supported by the listener. And if you like what you're doing, you can be part of our 2-year celebration here at Ongata Rongai, where we will be also launching 2 products from Home Run with PP. But also, if you are unable to attend, you can adapt a ticket. Buy a ticket for 1 person to attend or 2. And then we will also give them to the listeners that are unable to attend, that are unable to pay because of maybe hawezi afford your fare. So yes, I see Japonji ako hapa. I'll go to Japonji, Sam, and the lady like Grace. Japonji.
Thank you, PP. I hope everyone is good. I've been listening on and off. I want to start by responding to Red Hand before I forget. Red Hand, the Constitution of Kenya allows a presidential candidate to be nominated by political party or run as an independent, provided they're supported by at least 2,000 voters from each of majority of 47 counties. So you don't need political party for that. Okay, having said that, I reckon today we are talking about the government structure and systems and all that. What I can say is this. When you hire someone, you give them what is called job description. Like, for example, you are hiring an accountant, and then you tell them this is what you're supposed to be doing, and SOP, check the accounts daily, finance and all that, basic running operations, all that, petty cash and all that, for example. But in Kenya, it's the politicians who give us the job description that this is what I'm going to do. Imagine, we are the ones hiring them, we the people. But the politician is coming to you to give you the job description. That's where we are. That's how bad we are at the moment. Someone goes and tells you, look, I will make this for you, I'll make for you. How do you know what I want? I mean, honestly. So, unless and until we start practicing that power of employer, that we hold into account that we are the ones employing them. They work for us, so we need to give them a job description. And it's just a vicious cycle. We will just be going around and round and round here. Having said that, PP, let's make the presidency or executive useless or less attractive. A president spends almost 40 billion for campaigns. 40 billion. And if you let's go back to just common sense, basic thinking. If someone is spending 40 billion to campaign for presidency and he becomes president, forget about losing first. That one will come for handshake. Let's talk about you winning and you spend 40 billion. Do you actually, in your right sense, think this guy is going to recover this money only from his salary? You know, even the president himself may think we're very stupid. I mean, like, what do you think of him? Like, I have spent 40 billion paying to be president, and you want to tell me you voted for me because I didn't spend my money? I don't know if this makes sense to you. So Ruto has that kiburi that comes out, that arrogance that you may shout, you may do this, but at the end of the day, I spent my money for you to vote for me. I spent 40 billion. And how I recover that is none of your business. That is what I'm getting. So as long as we allow that, then we are in for a long ride. That is our political structure, unfortunately. And I don't think we can change that today or tomorrow. It's here to stay. The other thing is, see, the president exploits executive powers to entrench themselves. That is what they do. They make sure they recover. Actually, they want to recover this money as quick as possible through the political appointments. Unaambiwa wewe ulianguka hizi, unataka acha nikupeleke huko kwa ambassador wa Japan. Wewe enda ukuwe ambassador sijui nini DC Washington. You see, it's shareholder government. And I'm not sure, but I think the ambassador for Kenya, Washington, came from the side of Rigathi. I think so. Because it was shareholder. They were sharing those positions of ambassador. That is what happens. And they don't just select you like that. Mostly are losers, or they're told, wachia huyu, uje parliament ama kuwe governor, wewe tutakupanga. That is the language. That is where we are. These are the facts. This is what happens. So mtu ako kwa embassy anauliza, hapa ni, what do you do here? No training, nothing, they don't have affiliation with that job. Lack of meritocracy. Then you wonder why we don't have foreign policy. This happens all over. Everywhere. All ministry. This is what happens technically. Now, because I heard you were talking about 2010 Constitution. See, the 2010 Constitution, it already in a limit presidential powers compared to before the pre-2010 era. However, the president cannot now unilaterally dissolve parliament, and he is not allowed to appoint judges or control devolved units without oversight. Now, the problem is kwa hiyo constitution, kuna hii kitu inaitwa oversight. You know, when you hear the word oversight, that is where Ruto thrives. This government, they thrives there. That they cannot, and then inakwanga na hapo mwisho without oversight or public participation. Now, when you put, and there is no single judge or the Supreme, the judiciary, they have not been able to interpret the correct use, formation, and bypass of this public participation. We don't know. You've seen how they play around with it. They pick their own signatures and all those phone numbers. They've done before. You remember the place where they beat Morara Yosifu? Yeah, that's what they do. So, if Kenyan's history, people, under the influence of Watukama and Moi, it used to underscore the risk of concentrated executive power. That's why this constitution came in 2010, not because of us to help us. It was based on Moi, because they were looking at how Moi used to do things. So technically, It's the same way we always vote against someone. We don't vote for what we want. We vote against. So the Constitution was founded on that. Let's be honest. Because the 2010 Constitution, it was a response to such excesses. But Ruto's action are now seen by some as a regression. Are we making progression? We are not. So is the 2010 Constitution what? No, they only added those phrases like oversight, things like public participation. Those are the things they added. Yes, you can do this, but with public participation, but with oversight. Now, Ruto knows that. Very smart. He knows that. So what he does is he underlines those words, oversight and public participation. And he looks for all these, he advises himself and says, look, how can I find a loophole, to this oversight? And that is what he does. The other thing is, you go to this 2010 Constitution. If you look at it, introduced a lot of checks and some balances, I think, because if you look at this 47, they will tell you that it's supposed to work for us by saying that if you want checks and balance, that this 47 county governments was supposed to decentralize power. But you ask yourself, what is power? Power is money. Power is resources. Don't forget your power, those power of Ubebwa as these siren cars, 4x4 and security. No. Power is resource. How much resources do we give to the county government? 15% of the national budget. How about that? And then they say there's an independent judiciary and a legislature to check executive power. That is 2010 Constitution saying that the Constitution provision, it requires public participation and accountability. That it will limit the president's ability to make key appointments and dissolve institutions without oversight. But as these things happen, they are not. So one depends on the other. So it's the question of what came first. Is it the egg or the hen? But Ruto was there. And he did not like this constitution. He has never voted for it. He has never liked it, if you look back. So despite these reforms, you can see the recent events which suggest that President Ruto, elected in 2022 as a hustler, has been accused of overstepping these boundaries. He has overstepped. We can list all those provisions in the Constitution which he has overstepped. And that's why, personally, I call for further reduction of executive power. Because executive power still holds 85% of our national resources. We are not looking at that. We are focusing here for county 15%. What is 15%? This guy, already, I give you example, and I gave this example in one space. PP. For example, my grandmother will tell me that I have never seen tap water. I've never seen electricity since Kenyatta 1. But Ruto has brought for me electricity. I can see the road, and I have tap water. Why do you want me not to vote for him? And Ruto has told me I should have gotten this as others got it in 1965-64. But I just got it now. So, and the person who is supposed to cut up for this this expense, they are now reprieved. Like, for them, it's a reprieve. They are no longer paying for these services. They don't send money to buy water. Electricity is there, cheap. Power is better. I don't know if this makes sense to you. So as long as the president has these powers, influence. So because we can argue here the whole day, the whole week, the whole year, but someone from Kisumu or Nyanza, they feel that they're in government, and you will be saying, "Oh, they only have 2 members. They have only 2 PS." How about that? And then they will tell you, no, the president has spent 16 billion there for projects. Some people are getting employed. 16 billion is not a joke for things that were not there. And they ask themselves, why were we not given this? And then they hear people like Rigathi speak and say, because you are not a shareholder, you did it. You see, so these utterances and the political press and things that go on, But at the end of the day, this guy will not go back to the street, people. I don't know how you will convince this guy. I'm being honest. They will not. They will tell you, no, why should I go there? When the other people were in government, they used to get that 16 billion. And this is just the start. I'm talking about only this 1 year. 1 year since Ruto joined with Raila, 16 billion has been spent there. Where was this 16? Where is it coming from? Who is approving this? So in a nutshell, what I'm saying, PP, is the president influences where the resources goes. He still has that 85%. He 15% mtangangana mpigane, but it doesn't matter to him. Okay? He look at the bigger picture. People are getting help, and he can use that influence to Northeastern and afanye vitu zake. Unaget? And those people will be like, no, this is the first time I'm seeing a road. This is the first time I'm seeing electricity. It's your right, it's from your tax. But the president is influencing that for votes. He's using that. It's not that if you look at the return on investment, ROI is very bad, it's poor. It's not a priority in Kenya. Because if you ask me, the priority in Kenya today would be to make that 6-lane highway from Nairobi to Nakuru, all the way from Nairobi again to Mombasa, 6-lane. That one will open all this. But how much will it cost? We can do that. But he said, and he is going to do some projects, elephant projects, for votes. That's where we are. So as we discuss here, let's also talk about the powers of the executive. Do we blame the parliament for not checking out, for sleeping with the executive? And was it that our constitution missed to see that the parliament can actually be captured by the executive? Did they miss that? Because according to our constitution, the presidency normally gathers the majority in the parliament still. So whether they buy them or not, he usually has majority. I know a lot of bigger bills are passed by 2/3, which mostly they don't get. But what if they get? Like Trump. Trump has 2/3 majority. He's pushing things through. So we can as well say Trump has bought the cabinet, the parliament. So how do we go from here? Do we reduce the power of the president so it's useless? You don't need 40 billion to go there. You are going there to serve people, or how do we go forward? That's what we should be focusing on. PP, I learned. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Japonji, for your submission. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Home Run PP. It's 7 minutes to 8 p.m. East African time. And of course, tunavyosema hapa hivi kwenye Home Run PP, we are always about social conversation and what is going on in and around our country. Now, if you know, on 10th of this month, Home Run PP turned 2 years old. And following that, we are looking to have a small get together with the listeners and also fans of HRWP. And of course, on this Saturday, we will be at Ongata Rongai in a place called Rustic Heaven. It's around Masai Lodge stage. So it's a very good place where we can have an outdoor setup, talk with each other, network, and of course, play a game or two, and of course, cut some cake. The tickets go for 1,000 shillings, redeemable by a voucher from Rustic Heaven. But of course, you can attend. It's only 1,000 bob. You can book by hitting me up on 0721948229. And also, you can also support someone to go on your behalf. Kwa wale ambao wanatusikiza kutoka abroad na wamekuwa mashabiki wetu kwa muda mrefu, ningependa muadapt a ticket. Kina Mushiri hapa, woda lego, woda dhako. Unashika tikiti moja, unasema this one nimesponsor mtu. Kina Bionic hapo, mna sponsor mtu mmoja, alafu sisi tukifika Thursday we'll give these tickets to the people that would want to attend the event. Now, we are currently at 11 tickets, and we promised the guys at Rustic 50 tickets because that is, they were charging me the venue for 60,000, but I convinced them that I'll bring 50 people in and they will have something to eat. So akaniambia, if you can bring 50 people, then we will give you the venue for free. Kwa hivyo mnisaidia kufika hapo kwenye 50 tickets, at least tusije tukajipata tena tumewekwa kwenye madeni. Sam.
Thank you. Thank you, Pepita. I only have a question though to Was it Red Hand? Why does he feel insufficient to directly elect a president? Why does he want the powers to elect a president be taken away from him and be given to an individual in the name of a member of parliament? Number two, he spoke to Maraga. In a parliamentary system, a party with a majority in the House of Representatives or Parliament will form government, and the leader of that political party that has majority will be president or prime minister in that case. So how will Maraga with his Green Party, I've actually known that Green Party from what he said. I didn't know it before. How will the Green Party have the majority in parliament and as a result have Maraga elected as president? What is that possibility like on his side? And finally, I want him to give an example of what happens in South Africa, because that is the closest example we can use for a parliamentary system where people elect a political party. Once they have elected that political party, the leader of that political party, therefore, is nominated or elected as president. And then they have a list from that political party where from that list they will have members of parliament. So basically South Africans go to the field or go to elections to elect or to decide which political party is more influential or more popular amongst themselves. And then finally, what was the thinking behind the new constitution that we don't have, if you're a president, you don't have to be a member of parliament? What was the thinking behind that? Was it something that was just done or there was reasoning behind it? And finally, on impeaching or recalling a president who has violated the constitution, we have that in Kenya. Instead of one political party to decide that, our constitution allows members of parliament, one of them to front a motion of impeachment, and then that will be supported by all members of parliament because impeaching a president is something that is, everybody must have a voice through their representatives. So why is it difficult to do that with our parliament, which is the oversighting authority that we have? Thank you, Peter.
All right. Red pill, I think red pill, red hand. Red hand. The mic is yours. The red pill.
Yes, Peter. From the speaker, what was it? Was it Sam? Peter, was that Sam?
Yes, it's Sam.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Now, to your first question, why I would relinquish my right to vote for a president and give the power to a member of parliament. Number one is because, first of all, I do believe that, in my opinion, there is a lot of civic education that has not happened in this country. This is why educated beings like us who are all here today, no matter our opinions, we are always overtaken by the ones with no education or no civic education. In other words, somebody like William Ruto, who everybody was against in 2017, all of a sudden, a mere handshake between Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, all of a sudden, tribal sentiments are shared all around, and out of nowhere, we now have a president called William Ruto. How easy it is to just go to Mount Kenya and say that Raila ameingia serikali na tukumpigia kura, kwa hivyo sasa tunapigia Ruto. How easy it is to fool the masses. You know, the groupthink. You find that you can be seated somewhere talking about changing your constituency, and you call the doctors, the engineers, the teachers, the clinical officers, the professors, the lecturers, and you put all of them, you count all of them, and you find that out of all the voters in that area, those educated ones are less than 10%. So you're all at the mercy of 90%, all of you. Then you have the common denominator, the greatest common denominator in Kenya, which is tribe. Like, you would want to elect somebody based on issues, but for people to be united, you have to find the greatest common denominator. Like, what is it between me and you that we can all agree on? Like, if you are for this and me I'm for this other thing and we are not agreeing, what is that one thing we can find that at least we can agree on so we move forward? The problem with Kenya is that greatest common denominator, no matter which way you look at it, no matter how many calculations you make, that greatest common denominator becomes tribe. Because you can say farming, but then the farmers of tea in Kericho will complain that the farmers of tea in a place like Meru are getting more bonuses than them. And if you try to explain that the problem is the grade of tea that you find in these areas, people will not listen to that. People will say it is because the people of Meru are in government and the people of Kericho are not, and so on and so forth. We have to find a greatest common denominator. And if
I have
our
a follow-up
greatest common...
question, please. I have a follow-up question, Pepita. We're talking about civic education. Why do you think that people have enough civic education to elect a member of parliament who will elect a president, or they have enough civic education to elect or to favor one political party against another, but they don't have civic education to elect a president directly? That is what I find it difficult to, because at some point they have to elect elector, or they have to elect directly.
Okay, the reason you can find that, I believe that there's more civic education in terms of constituency matters than national matters is as Japunji has stated, this constitution has given the president less power. In other words, it has made our counties stronger. Like, if you want to find a problem that you're having in your area, the first thing you'd have to look for is your governor. Why is your governor not building this road? Why is your governor not doing this? Or if a road is built by a governor, you say this governor has built this road, or he hasn't. But then you will find that people still choose to point the finger at the president. Like, if your county is going through a bad economy, the first thing people will think about is president ametukosea, si governor ametuibia. But then again, you find that the MCAs of that county are smarter. That is where you find there are a lot of impeachment cases against governors, because the MCAs are there on the ground. No matter what propaganda this governor spreads, no matter how he says serikali imetuangusha, the MCAs know, hapana, wacha kutudanganya, si tunajua ni wewe. The reason I believe that voting for an MP and then letting that MP choose an executive prime minister, for me, is better than for me to go and choose a president, is because I believe that the people of a certain constituency are more in tune with the kind of MP that they want. In other words, the MP has to go around that constituency several times, telling them all their problems and how he's going to solve it. A presidential candidate will only come to your constituency once or twice during his campaign, but the MP will be there every day. Now, if I believe that the MP I'm voting for has a chance of being prime minister, I'm not voting for somebody called sijui Wamaminji or Wamandizi or Wamatangi or Wamatrailer, as usually happens in Mount Kenya, where they don't, where the MP is just a post. They are not seeing the importance of an MP. They are just seeing the importance of the president. As a matter of fact, if you look at UDA, most of the people who are in UDA did not, who are UDA MPs, did not get there because they were very good at pushing their desire to be MP. All they wanted is to get on that nomination ticket for UDA, and they knew they are in. Hakuna kitu ingine alikuwa anahitaji. If you go to Nyanza, all you have to do is just get on that nomination ticket for ODM. Hizo zingine zote hata unaweza kosa kuongea after that, and you're already MP. But if I know that my MP can also be president, I start looking for people like James Orengo to become my MP. Because I know if I vote for a person like James Orengo as an MP for Kasarani, I know that there is a chance James Orengo can push to be prime minister. If I know that somebody like Otiende Amolo is my MP, I know for a fact that Otiende Amolo can make a good prime minister. But you will not find me voting for somebody like Sudi. If I know that my MP can be prime minister, I am not going to vote for Sudi. But if I only believe that an MP has nothing to do except to give bursaries and NGCDF, the MP doesn't really matter to me. As in, I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking as a Kenyan. That position of MP doesn't look like it really matters. People are only looking for the presidential candidate. This is where you find that Raila Odinga has to keep pushing ODM by running for president, because that is the only way that everybody on that ODM ticket gets in. You also mentioned, Japonji mentioned something about independent candidates, that you don't have to belong to a party or something, that you can get enough signatures. I can't really remember, but it was about that a presidential candidate can also be independent. I would counter that by asking Japonji to imagine a situation. We're all imagining that Maraga will win, and I think I mentioned this yesterday. We're all imagining that Maraga or Okiya Omtata will win. Assume a situation where they come second. He's an independent candidate, but he got 8 million votes. William Ruto got 9 million. Now, is this independent candidate who got second the opposition leader? I would pose to you that he is not, because the opposition leader is the leader of the minorities in parliament. Independent candidates are not a party, right? So you will find that your presidential candidate who ran as independent became second in the presidential election, but the candidate who came third, because he has a party and his members of parliament got into parliament, he is now the leader of opposition. So you find Maraga has 8 million votes, but now he is a nobody. He can't say anything. He can't, even when he's opposing the government, he's only opposing it on TV. But he can't tell MPs, don't vote for this bill, because he has no minority leadership in parliament. This is why I'm saying that it is important that the leader that we choose has a party, because if he loses, in the off chance that he loses, he can have a way to regulate parliament. This is how Raila Odinga has prospered in this country. Because, as Sam had stated, and I think that will also help me answer Sam's fourth question, our third question, where he was saying what was the reasoning behind removing a presidential candidate from running as an MP as well. At the time, when they when they were talking about the new constitution, we were meant to have a parliamentary system where the prime minister is chosen by parliament. But then during the Naivasha talk somewhere, vitu zikagongana ukuta. And it became that we'll have a presidential candidate, we'll have a president and no executive prime minister. and that president will not run for MP because they wanted to remove this position of leader. They wanted to remove this position of the leader of opposition being also in parliament. They didn't want to have that situation. They also didn't want to have a situation where the president is coming into parliament to answer questions. Because you see, when you're a president and also MP of Kasarani, the people of the MPs in parliament can call you to parliament because you're a member of parliament. You can be called. They can call you to answer questions. Why are you saying that people should be shot in the leg? Because if we can't call you as president, we can as well call you as an MP, as a member of this house, to come and answer to us. Why you are a member of this house and you are going around saying people can be shot in the leg? In other words, it was to escape responsibility and also to escape criticism. Like it was a double-edged sword. They wanted the president can't come to parliament to answer questions, and also the opposition leader is not in parliament. And for those who are following, to wind up, for those who are following, they saw that after the 2013 elections, Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka were trying to push to be nominated into parliament. Even though they had lost the election, they wanted to be able to be in the house so that they can be able to counter government narratives in the house. But then these guys were also smart. The guys who cheated Raila Odinga out of his Bomas draft, because they ensured that you cannot be nominated unless you're a youth or you're a person with disability. Right? So as long as Raila Odinga was not a person with disability, or Kalonzo Musyoka, as long as he was not a youth, he could not be nominated. And then trying to take that position that is supposed to be given to someone with disability and to come in as member of parliament instead would have really done damage to their credibility. They would have spent years in court and the narrative would have been that, look, this guy just wants power, hata hataki watu wa persons with disability waongee kwa house. So yeah, those would be my answers to this, unless there's a question I haven't answered. But yeah.
Didi, can I ask one question before he lands? Red handed. Let me ask you a question. If you are voted in as an independent, and then you join the coalition. You join any coalition, because an independent MP or the president, for instance, he would need to form or join a coalition with significant parliamentary seats, even to be considered for leadership role. So, although this will align them with the political regrouping, we have seen this happen before in Kenya. Shift does not mean that they recall for election. So, do you think that is viable or not? Thank you.
Okay. If you are voted in as an independent, you cannot join a coalition. That would be going against the mandate given to you by the people as running as an independent candidate. If you can remember, Kina William Kabogo had tried to form a coalition of independent candidates during the 2022 election after William Ruto had orchestrated their demise in the primaries of Jubilee during the 2022 Jubilee primaries. So Kina Kabogo decided to run as independents. And then they tried to form a coalition of independents, even leave alone a coalition with another political party. They tried to run a coalition of independents. And they were told that that is not possible because you are an independent candidate. You have told the people, for the people to choose you, you have told them that me, I am not allied to these guys. For me, I am only working for you and only for you. Therefore, the moment you decide that you want to join another coalition, you have gone against the mandate that you were given by the people. So you have to cede your seat and have a by-election so that you can join that party or coalition that you want and then run for that position. The reason why you find that William Ruto, it was very easy for him to buy other parties rather than buy independent candidates. The reason you found that it was easy for him to buy other parties is because these parties themselves had members who are all aligned. So when you want to call for a by-election for these people, you would find that these people together, they meet as a committee and say, us, our members have allowed us to join this coalition. Because you're many members, you can speak with a louder voice. That is why we always have 100 people speaking is usually louder than one person. But as an independent, you've gone there as one person. You did not go there as 5 independents, you went there as 1 independent. Therefore, any coalition you join, people just remove you from office because you've gone against the mandate that you're given by the people. Thank you. Unless I haven't answered.
Okay, let's get no Diablo before we go to Luanda. No Diablo. No dialogue, no Diablo. Munyeria. Munyeria, are you there?
Yes, MC niaje, no Diablo. No Diablo is no fun. Yes, good evening, Pipita, and the space. Also, congratulations for your 2-year anniversary. And najua sio rahisi, given everything that's been going on. Now, on the state of the nation, it's nothing's changed. We are still burying our own, but I think a lot has been said about that. So I will not belabor that point anymore. I'd like to comment on parliamentarians and politicians generally. And I think this past, I think we're in the 13th parliament ya Ruto, na hizo mbili za Uhuru, they were the worst ones. And if you ask me, politicians deserve everything bad. They deserve the worst fate. I'll only take the issue of huwa mnaona auditor general huwa anafanya hizo the auditor general is required by law to audit the affairs of government departments, parastatals, basically government bodies. And by design, the auditor general reports to parliament. So Nancy Gathongo lays almost every other month report to parliament on her findings. But hizo miaka zote kutoka Uhuru, we've been seeing these things. In fact, even today, I think I saw she was before I think the Public Accounts Committee or that other committee, but they never do anything. And some of those reports are so damning. Sana sana za CDF tumeziona. We've had multiple people come through this work na watu hujitolea hapa X. I think I usually see some guy ako majuu naitwa Boni Mwangi who usually breaks down those auditor general reports. But parliament doesn't do anything. They interrogate there, wanakunywa chai, wanaita magavana, but nothing ever comes of these things. And you see, that's the whole point of oversight. Oversight si tu kukaa hapo tu kupewa presentation ya pesa hazikutumiwa vizuri, it wasn't used efficiently, there was no supporting documentation. But after that, they do nothing. I've never had, unajua, sijaisikia police ama sijaisikia DCI ama DPP wamecharge mtu based on auditor general's findings, and those things are there. In fact, my prayer for the next government, na mi personally sahi nimekuwa milia Maraga na Mtata, hata tuanze tu hapo, as in you don't even need to go far, anza tu hapo kwa auditor general's report. If we start there, the state of the nation will be improved even to in an instant, because it won't be witch hunt, it won't be targeted political campaigns against anyone. It will be just fact. Na tunarudi hata hiyo time ya Uhuru, because this country crimes have no expiry date. And just like that, people will start shaping up. I feel very betrayed by parliament and MPs and senators. Hao ni mambo wajibishi wakufe. Well, you can't, if this happens once, but every other year, nothing comes of this thing. Nothing, as in, it's just, it's a shit show. Now, my second submission, or my second theme on state of the nation is basically the lack of transparency. Hapo kwa space ask kwa space, what do you call it? On the I've nimetuma like a post comparing how they do it in Australia. Hapo I don't know what to call it, the Jumbotron, or kwa hiyo tu nimereply tu kwa hiyo nini ya Pipita. And you'll see in Australia, your tax return, the level of transparency in government finances, because basically, money is the root of corruption, the root of most evils in government. It's not just like failure of ethics. Ni pesa ndio ina corrupta watu. In Australia, in your tax return, you get a breakdown of how much has gone to health, defense. It's there. I think I don't know. People unaweza confirm iko hapo. Okay, naiona on my side, but I'm sure all of you can see. So that's how it is. In fact, you own, unajua ile return tulifanya last month, you see the level of government debt, unaona ya last year, unaambiwa hata interest italipo this year. That's the kind of transparency we want. Sasa huyu jambazi anaitwa Ruto, they go and spend money here in State House, or whatever it is, they spend confidential expenditures, wanapeana mapesa huku kwa economic empowerment. I saw even today, I saw Gladys Wanga tweeting that ameshukuru amepewa grant na William Ruto ya 5 million. We've been talking about these things for so long, but we are tired. Na ndio hapo unaendelea kusema personally me dialogues. In fact, kukiitwa dialogue, mimi wacha niseme I will send that notification of protest personally, even if wakianza hiyo mchezo I will because anyone can really organize a match. That 3-day notification, I will do it, because why are we dialoguing if we're asking for transparency? We're asking for a parliamentary effectiveness. We're asking for constitutionalism, where you say just charge someone within 24 hours. It's written right there. Unaona kama hii mambo ya this lady Nanyuki died and after assault. Even today, 3 days later, silence. Now, this lack of accountability is what is grating at the people, and we won't get tired of getting angry. In fact, unajua ni venye tu labda watu watoke kwa streets, but I'm for the position that we must give this government as much hell. I'm for active non-violence. I'm for civil disobedience. I'm for protesting until we get what we want, ama wase wasonge tufuate tupate watu watatufanyia venye tunataka. So with that, Peter, there's really the state of the nation is very moribund. It is terrible. There's nothing to smile about, but we eat on. There is hope, so long as the sun is shining. We have the cause and the revolution going on. Thank you, and mkwana jioni njema.
Asante sana Munyeria. Let's go to Grace Olwande. Grace, hi.
Peter, how are you? Yes.
I hope you are.
Tiketi yangu Japonji, tiketi yangu iko wapi? Na
Pipi, huyu ni nani anaongea na jita Pierre Winyo? Pipi, do you know what that name means?
Hata kidogo nimuite paya.
Pipi.
Paya uli.
Pipi, that means the anus of a bird.
no, me I'm Japonji nagoja ticket. Sasa Pipita, kama Japonji ashatuma tiketi yangu hapo, uniambie Saturday we are there. Japonji ticket tafadhali.
Aya, Olwande wewe.
Pipi, ongeza ticket moja kwake Pipi, aache kupiga kelele a submit.
Aya, utamwekea tikiti. Aya. Sawa. Japonji has your tickets covered. Weka basi details zako, email pale hivi nikuweke tiketi yako.
Aya, nitakutumia kwa WhatsApp. Asante sana Japonji. Sasa mimi naye na submit tu kitu kimoja. I think I talked about it yesterday and I'll still repeat. I think we have to come up with petition to review some of the clauses we have in the Constitution. It's important to highlight them, and especially in terms of independent candidates. We want leaders who can represent us, not the parties and some few individuals. So those are the things we should be finding reforms in. Now, looking at whatever is happening, this week I saw Duale spoke, and Duale was like, they don't want IEBC chair because he's from Turkana. So again, the tribal cards. And you see, these are the things we should be looking at categorically. And I think it's a responsibility of each and every individual to look at deeply what their leaders are doing. So this is Duale, who has no clue in matters to do with medicine, has no clue in matters to do on the pressing matters that are affecting Kenyans. And in fact, if you check categorically, when SHA was starting, SHA was deducting 2.75%, of which we were opposing because there was no equality in terms of contribution. And in fact, if you look at SHA, if you're earning 2 million, it means that each and every month, SHA takes 50,000 from you. So that is if you're earning 2 million every month. And we also did not agree in terms of services, where SHA would offer 2,000 shillings dental per household. And you know, those issues were not addressed. To make the matters worse, now SHA, despite you contributing that money, which will be deducted, whether you pay SHA in full or not, at work you will just be deducted that 2.75%. So apparently right now, without even consulting Kenyans, Duale and his officials decided that SHA should be paid in full amount. So that left me wondering how teenagers who are getting pregnant at the rate of 19% as we speak, and I think since 2020 to now, we've buried 7,667 bodies of women who are just dying during delivery. So I wonder how Duale is so confused that he can't look into real issues affecting Kenyans, and especially, Ebu, reduce your volume ya your TV wewe. In terms of matters to do with health, but has decided to talk up to politic about tribalism. We all know per the Constitution, in fact, the CSS should not be talking about politics at any point. So here we have our leaders spitting nonsense in every corner of Kenya they go to. That is number one. Number two, today I looked at today's newspaper, and specifically I bought the Daily Nation. And the subject of that newspaper was reckless talks. So right now, we have people like Oscar Sudi who are planning to steal elections for William Ruto, and they're telling us in advance. And I wonder why Kenyans are taking such kind of issues lightly. I think there were around 4 MPs. I think 2 were from, one was a woman, surprisingly, and others are men. So when I read also that newspaper, fuel has been increased with 8 shillings. Surprisingly, in Uganda and Tanzania, fuel passes through Kenya to reach those 2 countries. But in Kenya, we are paying the highest in terms of fuel. So again, that leaves me wondering, the kind of country we are going to live in with William Ruto. Last but not least, when you looked at, if you at all you got a chance to look at today's newspaper, there was a story about saloonists and hairdressers parading as medics and stealing millions of shillings belonging to the health sector. Of course, they are colluding with the government officials. We also had ghost workers who are paid up to 50,000 every month, and they have no existence. So actually, this tells you the kind of problems we as a country we are dealing with, and that tells you that we Kenyans, we need to style up, and in terms of leadership and in terms of keeping this government on check. And I agree, there is no dialogue that we need. I don't think when we ask for accountability, we just asked for this government. So we ask very few questions. That you said you borrowed money. How much was borrowed? How much has been paid so far? What was the money borrowed used for? Where are those projects? I don't think this is something that needs dialogue. I'd rather it's something that needs action. So we have to agree that a lot has to be done. And the only way we can change this country is by writing those petitions based on whatever even Japonji said in terms of funds, how funds reach even the mashinani, how the president still owns power that he shouldn't own when you look at the 2010 constitution. So these petitions should just help us to correct whatever we don't need in the constitution. And if possible, if the MPs cannot agree with us, we can go for a memoranda so that the constitution is amended in a way that it benefits each and every person in Kenya. Thank you so much, Pipita.
All right, thank you, Grace Olwande, for that submission. I see Joram here with us. How are you doing, Joram Kinoti? Joram, are you there? All right. Make sure that you are here. You are also part of the team that will be joining us this weekend, hapa hivi Ongata Rongai, for what we call Home Run with PP at 2 celebration, and of course the first meet and greet we are having as Home Run with PP family. First meet and greet. We've never had a meet and greet. I see the person like Jackson here with us. How are you doing, Jackson? Jackson? Okay. Hawa wamekuja kutubangaisia kwa space. Red Hand Republican, talk to me.
Yes. I just wanted to answer a question I've seen late by John Teremani. He's asking, shouldn't there be a guiding philosophy in how we structure government? Or are we simply shaping our system of government in reaction to past political trauma? Okay, to answer that, I'd have to explain the fact that Kenya is a very young democracy. Like I know we see that independence was 1963, but in the fabric of time, 60 years after independence is very young. It's very, very young. It's somewhat you can understand that somebody who was born in 1963 is now 60 years old, right? Places like America got independence, I think, in the 18th or 17th century, I'm not sure, right? You can imagine they've had democracies for hundreds of years. They've had civil wars. They've had the South versus the North. You have places like, what do you call it? Like the UK. which only started as Great Britain and then grew and grew to incorporate neighboring countries, of course, because of colonization and all that. You have economies like China that have existed for millennia, leave alone decades, but they keep changing their politics and their constitution based on the generation that is there. Because as you see, and me, I've always been a believer in this, is that every generation deserves a right to mold the constitution and their government in the way that befits that particular generation. So that the lives and the lives of the people in 1960 and the decisions that they made for government do not stick with us forever, that now, forever and ever, we'll have to stick to what the people in 1963 decided. Like if you could see during that time we had Kanu, and if we decided that we are not going to change our politics based on the generation, we'd still be in a single party state, right? And you can find that in this day and age that we live in, we want a situation where young people can be able to get into government. But if we keep to the constitution, if we kept to the constitution before 2010, the one that existed, we would be living in a world where it is a president who keeps shuffling young ministers, calling a 29-year-old to be minister, so that we can think that there's progress that is happening, whereas it is not. We need to live in a world where your child, like right now, you are alive, and there's a way that you want the government to exist. But in the next 100 years, you'll be dead. It is your children and your grandchildren who will be alive. They also reserve the right to live in a world where the government is doing what them they want. For you now, there are things that you want to be done and should be allowed to be done. In my opinion, anything that you want done should be allowed to be done. But then after you pass away, the people that you have left in the world have a right to also say, hey, what John wanted, what our grandfather John wanted was okay in that time, but us in our time, let us do things differently. This is how a democracy evolves. Because remember, the laws are not meant for land. The nation of Kenya is not simply the land that Kenya sits in. It is the people that live in that country, right? Kenyans, the human beings that live there. So in 100 years, every person living in Kenya today, right now at this moment, even the person who was born today, 3 seconds ago, in 100 years, that person will be dead. There will be now new Kenyans living here. Those people also have a right to decide what kind of government, what kind of constitution that they want to live in. That is kind of my philosophy about life. Let just people live the way they want their generation. And this is where you find the Gen Zs are very applauded, because these are things that the millennials were unable to do. These were the things. There are people who are able to do something before Gen Zs, who are probably Gen Xs, Kina James Orengo, during their time as student leaders. They were really pushing. Like for those people who think that it is only Gen Z who can do things, I think it's only because Kina Moses Kuria, they don't understand what Gen Z is. Because I remember Moses Kuria saying, actually, as we were once Gen Zs, I think it was a misunderstanding of what he was saying. I think what he meant to say is we were also once 20 and 21 years old in campus and protesting. You should see the things they were going through. Even pastors and priests were in the streets na walikuwa wanapigwa fimbo vibaya. And they pushed and pushed and pushed until multi-party democracy came to us in 1992. And after that, Raila Odinga took over, and also with other young Turks. Kina Babu Owino were also known for championing for things when they were in campus during that time. And they pushed and pushed and pushed until now it was not just multi-party democracy like Kina Orengo fought for. Now it was a new constitution. And as you can see, we're also now fighting for other things. Fighting and fighting and fighting. Because every generation, really, if we're all honest with ourselves, the decisions that us we make today should not be set in stone that now, in the year 2200, after all of us are dead, that our grandkids and our great-grandkids must adhere to a constitution that they don't believe in just because 200 years ago, there are people who died for that constitution. They also need to be able to live as Kenyans in the country that calls them Kenyans, because they will be paying taxes, and they will be voting, and they will be living in this country. So yes, to answer your question, I do believe, yes, that the law and the constitution should always change based on the sentiments of the people who are currently alive and living and suffering with the laws that actually exist in that day. Finally, I'd like to give an example of some of the things that make America the great democracy that it is that you would find what the MPs are like, what we call MPs there, they call House of Representatives. Now there, in that nation, the House of Representatives, or the MPs of there, the elections are held every 2 years. Every 2 years. Why is that important? Because since presidential elections are held every 4 years, after the presidential election and the House of Representatives elections are done, 2 years later, there will be an election for just House of Representatives. That way, a party like UDA and ODM, like you see like we had elections here in 2022, if we had the same law that MPs are voted in every 2 years, by 2024, after last year, after the Occupy Parliament protests in June, there would be an election now in August, because that would be 2 years after the 2022 elections. Of course, there would be probably the UDA number of MPs would go down by 100. There'd probably be 20 UDA MPs and another new 100 MPs from another party. That would send a clear signal to the president that your time is done. Whereas even in Parliament, you will not be able to pass laws, because now we have removed the UDA MPs and we've put new MPs from another party. So that could also be some of the things that Kenyans could think about, that changing the constitution so that MPs don't just serve a 5-year term. That yes, the president and the senators and the governors can serve 5-year terms, but the MPs and the MCAs serve 2-year terms. So that the president doesn't need to see protests happening in the streets for him to know his time is up. All he needs to do is wait for 2 years, aangalie parliament. Kama UDA watu wake wote wametoka, ODM watu wake wametoka, pia anajua, sasa mimi time yangu imeisha. And that's why you find in the US, they can already tell who will be the next president, whether it will be a Republican or a Democrat. Because after 2 years, the House of Representatives will be filled with either majority Republicans or majority Democrats. If it's majority Democrats, Donald Trump already will have known that Republicans, we will lose the presidential seat in 2028. I don't know, it's 28 or 26. And if it's a Democratic one, they will know that time. So yes, to finish up, every generation should reserve the right to change government based on the way they feel the government should be for as long as they are alive in that country that day. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that submission as well. Now, ladies and gentlemen, mine is just to remind you that, of course, the world is ending on 2nd of August. So don't let the world end without seeing home run with the PP's 2nd anniversary. I hope hakuna mtu wa hiyo kanisa hapa. So wacha sasa ni waone hii, mnakataa kusupport home run na tiketi moja hapo hivi, na 2nd of August dunia inaisha. Sasa sijui hata hiyo chana niwachekee bwana. Anyway, kama wewe hautaki kupotea na pesa ya dunia uende nayo mbinguni, unaingia pale hivi kwenye tipu cha and buy a ticket to Home Run with PP at 2. Of course, you can also buy a ticket for someone. You need to adapt a ticket. Unaadaptia mse ticket. And of course, kama wewe pia unataka kuenda na huna tikiti, unaweza request pia hapo hivi kwenye post zangu nimeandika for those who are unable to pay the ticket but would want to be part of our event. Wale wenye wako diaspora na mmekuwa mkitu support sana, you can always adapt a ticket. We're trying to raise 50 tickets. We got a free venue, but our condition is to get 50 tickets. So otherwise we have to pay 60,000. Sasa kama 50 kweli imetukosa, 60 tutatoa wapi? Kwa hivyo if you can adapt a ticket or two, yeah, drop it in there. I know the people are ready to attend, lakini saa zingine mwezi iko kwa kona, wanaogopa itakuwa aje. Kwa hivyo asanteni sana kwa wale ambao wame pledge, kuna wale ambao wameshaweka. We are really appreciative of what you're doing for Home Run with PP. I see Malia is here with us, and of course Japonji ako kwenye co-host. Malia, maybe talk to us. Nimeona kuna mtu ameandika, there's somebody who is moving with an incognito account na imeandikwa Malia wa Pipita. Jamani wadau. So Malia wa Pipita, niongeleshe. Unajua ni kama tunakuanga na relationship ya Bluetooth.
No, Pipita, that is Malia.
Ni Malia wangu anatumia jina.
Wewe wacha. Hawa ni watu wa nini wa manosphere. Hawa ni watu wa manosphere, anajaribu ku spoil the cordial relationship I'm having with Pipita.
Like girlfriend yangu akajiandika eti Malia wa Pipita naweza mdump. And it sasa kama venye Moraa kwa hapa eti Moraa wa Pipita na kublock na kudump. You are too childish for my liking. Anyway, I'm glad sio wewe juu ningekuremove kwa space.
Ni watu wa manos. Watu wa manos uliwafanyia nini, hebu niambie. Kuna dem yao uliiba. Juu venye wanakuanga na feelings wewe, kuna kitu uliwa slice dem, hebu tuambie sasa hivi.
Acha tu niseme ukweli nitoke.
Wanakuanga na feelings sana na hadi wataki kuona mtu akiwa kwako, mwanamke akiwa kwa nini yako ukiattend kila siku, sasa inakuwa shida. Can you declare what you did to these people? Because they have a very personal grudge with you.
Unajua kitu gani ni si washindi kipesa, wanasemanga kila siku venye wako na pesa. Wanasema wako na watoto, sina watoto, so hatuwezi compete eti nani ni baby daddy kushinda mwingine. Sina baby mama, eti tutasema eti baby mama ndio tuna compete na wao, because wengi wako na baby mama zapo wenye wa support. So mimi kitu naona, na hata huwezi sema eti space yangu inakuanga na watu wengi. Maybe nyinyi ndo mnawakataa, wakikuwaona mkuja kwa Home Run with PP, I'm getting flack. Ingekuwa eti tu mnafanya mambo yenu huko kando. But sasa kwa vile wanawaona kwa Home Run, wanafikiria mimi ndio na wa insight.
Sasa mimi nilikwambia niwaanike wenye wanakujenga kwa inbox yangu, niwaanike alafu ukakataa. Ukasema utaweza hiyo pressure.
Tena nao. Wacha wa hate.
Sasa unajua kwanza
please Malia don't.
Sasa nilijaribu maneno sasa. Story ya Zanzibar from that time, sasa unajua wanashindwa kuambia nini. Recross. Anyway, so let's talk about our country, our darling country. Oh my God. Aki leo nimeona funerals za watoto. And then I saw another video of kids dancing to that song of risasi. What? Risasi kwa mguu. Yani I felt, it's supposed to be comical. The way they were, it's a challenge. Risasi kwa mguu. But I felt like crying. I was like, yani hapa ndio tumefika, that these are the kind of things our kids now are dancing to ati. Because what they were doing, they were like, the part for kuna hiyo part ya piga risasi. So that part of piga risasi, they put a face like someone who is dying. And then hiyo part ya kuna hiyo part ya afande usinipige usiniue, nipige risasi kwa mguu. So half of them wako hii side ya polisi, they are pointing like they are shooting. Then this other side wako zile za usinipige risasi. I'm like, oh my God. Yani hapa ndio tumefika as a country. Peter. It's bad. Yani these are the things now which our kids are making, like, joking with. It's not. Yani niliona hiyo kitu nikasikia tu machozi inakuja, nikasema yani this is my country. Enyewe Ruto. Nakumbuka mama mwingine, the time when demolitions were being done, and then she said that Ruto alikuwa anasema na Kikuyu. And then she said, Ruto, you came to us, you cheated us that you are a man of God. Kumbe you are a devil worshipper. And I always hear, as in vitu mingi times mob sana, that the way she was putting it always comes back to me. That mtu, it's like vitu tu mbaya, maovu tu, yani. Can you imagine now that girl who was, I don't know, 10 years old, wako hapo, walimu wanalia, students wanalia, maze. And then the boy, there's a boy who also was shot when he was coming from school. And Gava yani is so quiet. Yani hakuna hata, me I don't know. Una Gava ingine kaya, he's so heartless. Unajua they think that by ignoring, it will be like, so how did bullets enter in somebody's house and kill their daughter? Bullets zilitoka wapi? Why are they behaving like it's not them? Can't they at least show some remorse that enyewe, they are just ignoring the whole thing na hao ndio waliua hao watoto, especially huyo mwenye alikuwa kwa nyumba. I'm telling you, I don't know. Then nikaona ule jamaa anaitwa Hiram, the policeman, like he was, oh my God. You know now that it's like they want to kill him. I don't know. What this country, by the way, it's like tunaruliwa tu na devil worshipper, by the way. Say the only thing he did, Hiram Kimathi, he just said that we're not, as cops, you're not supposed to kill Kenyans. Kenyans are not bad people, don't kill. That's all what he said. He didn't say anything bad. He just said, don't kill. There's no need of killing Kenyans. Kenyans just need for you to talk to them. Hiyo tu, saa amepelekwa sijui Kapedo ama ni wapi, and then there's a plan to assassinate him. Chwali. Hiki kizazi cha nyoka, I'm telling you, Mungu sijui venye atatuondolea hiki kombe. This is a cup of suffering, I'm telling you. These people are just too evil. Sasa mtu anataka kumua for what? Amefanya nini mbaya? Kuambia tu his fellow officers that there is no need to use extreme force. Like Kenyans are reasonable people, they just need for you to talk to them. You don't need to shoot to kill. Hiyo tu. Sasa sijui ametransferiwa akapelekwa sijui wapi, then there was an assassination attempt. Hata nani ameacha kazi sasa. Juu akienda huko, it's apparently there was assassination plot against him. Yeah, I don't know where we are headed as a country, by the way. I don't understand where we are headed, because this is not a government, there's no, because, like I was just thinking, like the time of Uhuru, you used to feel, okay, I'm gonna fall zake fine, but you used to feel you have a president. You used to feel like kama ni mlevi na ni mkunywa bangi, whatever the hell, but you used to feel the country is under control. You used to feel there's someone on the seat, someone reliable, someone who is sober-minded. Saizi, we don't even know, you don't even know one day from the next. It's like somebody, the way nini gari na hijackiwa ama like you are, someone has just hijacked the country. That is how it is. We don't know from today to tomorrow what is going to happen, what this guy is going to do next, And then I saw JB Muturi talking about, he was just talking about the point where he realized that because he had refused to sign some stuff which was not right, and he just started being mistreated. Akaanza kuona sasa dalili that sooner than later he's gonna be out of the government. And then he was talking about even how his kid was hijacked, was abducted. Then sasa venye alienda kuulizia hiyo mambo ya abduction, do you know what he was told? He was told that don't worry, even Bungei's son was involved in the. Can you imagine even Bungei's son was involved in the maandamano? Even whose nephew was involved. So it's not like your son is so special that hakukuwa kwa maandamano. Hata Bungei's son, Can you imagine the arrogance? How can you tell someone like that? Me, I don't know. But to mimi sijui venye tutawatoa kwa kiti, but we can't continue like this. That's what I know. Hatuwezi endelea hivi. Because I'm telling you, hata Moi hakukuwaga hivi. Hakukuwaga hivi. Because right now, there's a vacuum. You know there's a vacuum. That guy is not a leader. That guy is not a president. There's a very big vacuum. Very, very big. And JB Masinde, JB Muturi was saying that, like, hakuna hata center of control in this government. It's like him and his cronies, they're just doing whatever. You know, it's like Akina Sudi and who. Some people who you know, they have more power than even, hao ndio wanakuambia chenye utafanya. Like, there's so much confusion. Kenya, we need God. Let me tell you, the way God will remove for us this cup of suffering, I don't know. But Tijai, I've seen the reign of some people, but some presidents, but this one is just on another level. This one is just on another level. This was a big mistake. And I hope it's a lesson to us as Kenyans. Because me, when I was trying to tell my own mother that don't vote for this guy is a thug. Akaniambia nani ndio sio mwizi. Saizi, she's the one who is busy. Every time I'm on phone with her, she's the one who is busy complaining. So it's only that she's my mother, I can't give her peace of my mind. But I remember when I was telling her, and she's like, kwani nani ndio sio mwizi. You know, this the bonnet attitude we have as Kenyans towards leadership, ndio hii imetuingiza kwa this mess that we are in right now. Because we don't think our decisions through. We don't. We are just driven by emotions, and we are just driven by hatred. Like, I don't like Raila, so I'm just gonna vote for this person, even if I know he's an ICC guy. All the witnesses in his case were murdered. I know all that, and I still go. Can you imagine? Me, I wanted to really give her peace of my mind, but nikasema juu ni mamangu, and you're supposed to honor your parents, wacha ninyamaze tu. So now she just calls me to complain about Ruto, and I'm like, yeah, when I was telling you that this is not a vote, afadhali ukae kwa nyumba. Let me tell you, Kenyans, by the way, if there's nobody to vote for, kaa tu kwa nyumba. Ama you just vote for other seats, and you don't vote for president or whatever. Instead of voting for somebody who is going to mess up the whole country, just stay at home. You don't have to vote if there's nobody who is there who you can vote for. By the way, sio lazima uvote. Ati sasa we are taking we are choosing between two bad options. If you don't see there's any good option, kaa kwa nyumba yako, don't even vote. Or you go and vote for governor and the others, watch a president. Instead of you voting to legitimize somebody who is just another tag there. And then you are like, kwani nani ndio sio mwizi? Those attitudes must end. Otherwise, we'll find ourselves in a very deep, like right now, we are in a very deep hole. We are in a very big, deep ditch, which we don't even know how we are going to get ourselves out of it. In this guy, we are not even sure. Akona mpango gani, like by the time it figures 2027, unasikia stories that is his anachimba tunnel from State House to the Nisprit Road of 4.6 kilometers. Uni mtu akona mpango gani with the country, honestly. Under that church, so-called church, kumbe church inajengwa ndo ifiche tunnel. That's the kind of a cycle that we are having. Thank you.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome, Home Run with Pippi.
Yes, you're listening to Home Run with People. Thanks so much, Malia Davis, for that submission. And of course, we are about 1 minute to 9 p.m. East African time. Mabibi na mabwana, you're here every weekday from 4 p.m. all the way to 9 on Home Run with People. It is a social conversation platform. We just turned 2 years old, where we. Yeah. You see, I saw Eric Omondi talking about celebrating 17 years in the industry, and I'm just celebrating my second year as Home Run with PP Spaces. So we still have a long journey, but our aim is to bring in social conversations from all over the country, all over the world, for Kenyans who are listening to us from across the globe, to connect to the country, because sometimes we need to hear from actual Kenyan voices to connect to our country. That is why we have Home Run Ipipi. And of course, as I've been singing since we started the show, Home Run Ipipi is having our 2-year celebration here in Rongai. Ongata Rongai is the place we will be going to. Rustic Heavens, a very nice bespoke outdoor venue, where we'll be sitting down and having a conversation about digital media. And of course, we will be having a tete-a-tete, and we'll also be streaming live. For those who will be listening to us, we will also be streaming on Spaces and also on Twitter Live, for you to see what is going on this other side. And then also, for those who will be on the ground, of course, there will be some bit of photography and video coverage, just to make sure that you look good as well, na upate picha mbili tatu za kufloss pale hivi kwenye mtandao. Yote 9:10 ni kwamba tikiti goes for 1,000 shillings. And now this is for the first time on my side, I'm also bringing in a very interesting concept. Now, it's called Adapt a Ticket. Now, there are people who say, oh, Pipi, mi ningependa sana kukuja, lakini sina time. Yeah. Oh, Pipi, I would really want to come to your event, but I do not have I'm very far. Kama watu ambao wanatusikiliza kutoka kwa diaspora. Now, this is what we have been doing for the past few days. I have introduced Adapt a Passport. So you Adapt a Passport, Adapt a Ticket, where you buy a ticket worth 1,000 bob or 2,000 ama ngapi, and then you decide whether you want us to give it in a raffle or you have someone specific who you want to attend the event for you. So instead, hata kama hauja attend, bado kuna vile umekuwa part of it. So kama mtu kama Japonji has already gotten 3 tickets. I see a guy like Steve Pia from the UK, I'll get a couple of tickets. So we can also get to that number, because right now we are at 13 tickets out of 50. And the idea here is, when I was negotiating for the event venue, I was told that if I get 50 attendees, then I will not pay the entrance, the ground fees. That is about 60,000 shillings. So the only way I can do that is if I get 50 people to actually attend the event, so that we can just get the venue for free. So if you like what you're doing, and we also want to support this work this week, there's no tip jar. Just go into that number, drop your support pale via Kuadapt a Ticket. And also, if you are looking to attend that event and you're not able to foot your bills, I would like to just reach out to us. I will connect to you to the ticket yenye imelipiwa. Wewe utakuja tu. I'm already matching people to tickets. So naona kama Ulwande ashapata ticket, and of course other people also will get their tickets in the course of the week as we continue adapting a ticket. So kwa sababu nilikuja kurealize kwamba most of our listeners ni wale wenye wako abroad, na ambao wako Kenya maybe ni wale ambao saa zingine unapata wako engaged financially in a way that they cannot attend. Sasa kwa hivyo ukimtumia ticket ata attend, and that is like the whole community coming together for this event in particular. So I see George Bionic are here with us, and also we are at 9:03 p.m. East African time. We definitely will be back here tomorrow for more conversation, but I see we will have George Bionic talking to us, and maybe final words from Kina John Seremani and Dolphin. George.
Thank you so much, Pipita. Malia said something and he just wanted to come guns blazing, but then Malia, you talked about maybe people maybe shouldn't just vote. If you're to vote on people, you'd rather stay at home. I think one big thing I'd like us to fight this time around is, at least we should have each and every person, first of all, owning a voter's card. I mean, that's your best decision. That's the best shot you have. You know, it is a democratic right that you're supposed to enjoy every 5 years. You know, you can't afford not to vote. Unaona, you can't be lamenting here in the groups every time, giving ideas and everything. Then ikifika your time ya kuvote, you're not voting as a young person. I mean, what reason do you have not to vote? You know, at least just show up first of all, hapo kwa polling station. you have several people to vote from MCA level to the president. And even at the presidential level, we have a lot of options, you know. Like last time, tulikuwa na, we had Raila Odinga, we had Ruto, we had Nani, George Wajakoya, and then we also had David Mwaure Waihiga. You know, look at what Waihiga got, 31,000 votes, you know. George Wajakoya got 61,000 votes. And you you can just see from that like what we really want. But then again, I also don't blame that, because now most of the people when you tuna consider maybe to be very literate, kwa nini our voters in Kenya ni most of the young people that we have right now, you know, and utapata a big population, a big percentage of these young people, they honestly don't vote, they don't care, and they don't even plan to vote. And I think we have to start debunking that it should be your responsibility to make sure that you have a voter's card. And you have to exercise that democratic right, that hiyo siku ikifika, you have to show up in a polling station and at least vote. Even if you're going to vote for 3 people, ama 4 people, ama nini, you just have to vote. Like, tusichukue hii nini ikuwe very light at sahi. We are here, we've taken time to sit down and discuss these national issues. Then ikifika that time in 2027 that you want to bring change, we don't exercise that right. Then we find ourselves going back to the streets. I mean, si vitu zote tutafanya kwa streets. Some of these things tukizifanya kwa ballot rightly, ama in a right manner, we will save ourselves a lot of problems. Unaona? So me, I'm for everyone should at least have a voter's card. Everyone should at least vote. Then from there we can say, we made a bad decision, or we did this and we can rectify. But not voting, in my books, I don't think it's a solution at all. Yeah. So I think yote ndo nilitaka encourage. Like, we should be encouraging that people should actually start getting votes for those people wenye wamemaliza shule ama wamepitisha like the age of getting a voter's card. Na part of the civic education is you should exercise your right of voting and vote wisely. Yeah, it will save us a lot of problems. It will save us a lot of time when you tuna spend kwenda kwa street saying that, we didn't want this person. Last time we had 8 million people not vote. That's a big number. Now imagine 2027. It could even be worse. So it's we shouldn't be encouraging it at all, Yani. Thank you, Pepita.
Thank you, Bwana George. Bionic.
Hey, PC.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. I am well. I hope you are as well.
Yeah, one day at a time. I just wanted to make a pledge. When is the event? Is it this weekend?
Yeah, it's on Saturday.
Okay. And when do you need fans? Or when do you have to have the tickets by? Is it deadline?
I have to have them by Wednesday, but if we can make it before Friday, it's okay too.
All right, I'll pledge for 5 tickets.
5 tickets?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
That's a funny jingle. I also wanted to just quickly offer a different way of thinking in terms of problems in Kenya. I hear a lot of comparisons of Kenya to the US or to the UK or to even China. We are so not on the same level with these countries, with those countries, and comparing ourselves to them in terms of politics or democracy or policies or systems, it just doesn't. It doesn't work. We copied after post-colonial, we were stuck with the British way systems of doing things and the parliamentarian system of government, and quickly we realized that wasn't working for us. And then we copied the US one, Katiba 2010, and now we realize our government is so bloated. Having how many counties do we have? 42. So having 42 senators and women reps and MPs and all. It's just too much. So many people employed and to work for the people, to represent the people. And it's not necessary because we don't have as large a population as the US has. And they copied that idea based on the system here, the federal and the devolved state system that is here. But it doesn't work for Kenya. It just doesn't, because we have one of the biggest governments in the world, and for a country as smaller than Texas, it's crazy. So if you continue making comparisons of Kenya to the US or even to the UK, we're not helping ourselves. We're shooting ourselves in the foot. We already know it's not, those systems do not work in Kenya. We should try and find countries within our range, in terms of our population size, GDP, countries in Africa that share the same problems, the same things like population size and tribes and things we have in common with other countries that in Africa that we can compare ourselves to. And we can maybe benchmark from those countries and see what we can change that is working for them. Like Senegal. Senegal is a very democratic country and very, very advanced in infrastructure. And it's an African country. They have a gazillion tribes just like we have, and their systems are working for them. Granted, there were another French system of government, but they're divorcing themselves from the French ways, and they're doing their own thing. So I think there's some things we can learn from them. If we're to copy or if we're to compare, we should look for countries in our range or in our that is more comparable, that makes more sense. The US is almost 250 years old democracy. We just celebrated 249 years of independence. So Kenya is just at 60 something. I mean, it doesn't work. Yeah, so I just wanted to offer that different kind of train of thought when we're thinking of how to make things better or change things for the good of our country. All right, PP, I'll skuma you that dough probably tomorrow, and then you can confirm. Thanks, guys, and have a good night.
Then thank you, Bionic, for that and your awesome contribution. For a minute, I thought we were not going to make it to Ata 20. But right now, we are only 2 tickets to 20 tickets sold. And that is on God. Asante sana and be blessed. Kwa hivyo kama uko hivi nje na unaweza to support pia na tickets, don't be afraid to adapt a ticket. Yes. John Seremani, maybe you can give us final words as we are getting into this final wrap of this conversation. Maybe what can you say are your takeaways from this conversation tonight?
Yeah, Pepita, thank you. So in summary, in conclusion, I just wanted to first to begin with speaking to the comment of the reply that Red Hand had given to my question. I think, it's well said. And sorry, just a second. So I just wanted to add that there's a history in how government has, or the idea of government has developed over time. This is real history. There's actually a time when there were no kings, and then there were kings, etc., like recorded history. And I think while I agree generally with the sentiment, I just wanted to mention that I feel at some point, yes, a constitution has to be based on what I call eternal principles, because there are certain realities about life and government that should supersede every generation. Like there's something, because it's based on human nature, and human nature never changes. So, for example, we know there are certain things that will remain constantly true, whichever generation it is, and those ideas should form the core in how we now think about government. In other things about government, they can change with generations or with the politics of the time, but kuna certain things. Now, I know I'm speaking a bit esoteric, but let me tie it in with the comment from Bionic. I'm not too sure if it's fair to say that we copied the American system per se in having so many counties. My understanding there, and I could be wrong, but my understanding is that the committee, as they were doing these subdivisions of counties, they were looking at the ethnic composition of various places. I think you're aware of, Pepita, is it Migori County, which has a ethnic minority? Yeah, I could be wrong, yeah, but yeah. And
Yeah,
also,
my county of Migori, Wakuria tuko watatu.
Yeah, by the way, so you can never hope to get a Kuria governor in that place. Same thing with Taita Taveta. The Taitas are more than the Taveta, but incredibly, I think they thought at first that governor is not a powerful position, so the first governor was Taveta. But once they saw that thing will never revert to a Taveta. So that was kind of the thinking of why there are so many counties, because they're trying to see how can we break up the territory of the country in such a way for governance, in such a way that we don't disenfranchise more people. You think about it, if Nyanza as a whole was a county, the Luos would have a supermajority in everything, and they can direct, development to predominantly Luo areas. So the Kisis would have a problem. And of course, the other guys there, the minorities as well, wangekuwa na shida. So that's unfortunate in why that informed the situation, but that's the reality, and maybe it's something we need to talk about. But with regard to, as I learned, with regard to the American system, believe me, the way you can know that a system is the best is by looking at how powerful that country has become sustainably over years, okay? I keep on saying, Kenya, we can't even put a banana into orbit. Hata tukijaribu, someone in government will sell that banana for 5 million shillings to government, So as in, we have to kind of figure out from the lessons we can see around the world, I believe Red Hand had mentioned that some of these countries, they've experienced, democracy and these systems of government for hundreds of years. Yeah, they have experience. And so we have to see, okay, what is the best we can pick of? Because these ideas, you find them with John Locke, you find them with Bastiat, you find them with Western philosophers who had the opportunity to observe and to make statements about these things. There are no African philosophers. These things did not develop here at home, but it doesn't make them any less true. So, like as I learned, the thing about separation of powers, ukiangalia, the first separation of powers is between the sovereign and the government. And these are checks. These themselves are checks. Ukisoma the Federalist Papers, these are checks on tyranny, because there's also a tyranny that can come from the people. So you need, that's the first one. The second one is now between the arms of government. And finally, the third one is between the levels of government. If you talk about national government, we're talking about devolution. And now, in our case, county governments. So all these things, how you arrange the thing is the checks. And without properly setting it up, you're always going to end up with a form of tyranny So like na hii ni ya mwisho, like if you look at you know, the executive, you know, has a lot of power. I believe it was Japonji who mentioned power has to do with resources. So it has so much power, you know. The other check, you know, in order for the arms to be separate, they also have to be equal. They have to be equal. And that's counterbalanced in how you set up both their resources and their duties, because those two things are intermingled. So, yeah, without saying a lot, I just wanted to mention that it's quite an interesting journey, but I really hope we understand that the main devil is our politics. The kind of politics we play informs how we, you know, live out the political system we live in. Asante Pipita.
Asante John Seremani for your submission tonight. Dolphin, you there? Dolphin ni kama alituacha. But
Nico, I'm following. Where?
where?
I'm here.
Talk to us. What are your final words tonight?
My final words. Me I don't know, because me I'm totally confused, because a lot of things are happening, and we look like we are a bit confused. The energy has gone down. The organic part of the movement is actually taking a different trajectory. It is going down as well. But my parting shot would be we keep the fire burning. We just keep pushing, because we need change. We really need change. I don't know how we are going to do it. And again, there is another thing that Red Hand mentioned earlier about how we are going to recall the MPs, whereby he mentioned that it is not an easy thing, because we need to recall like 100 of them, or a bigger number, not 20 or 30. Those will not be able to make the motion move. So I think we need to stand up and to know where we are starting from and how we are going to encounter this, because days are moving. And by the time we get to next year, it won't be easy for us to do it. So this is the right time to do it, guys. Let us spread the word, and let us let the people who are not on spaces or on social media know what is happening. Tell your friends out there, tell the people in Mashinani, so that they know that Ruto is bad. It is bad and bad. And I'm happy to see that most of the politicians are now woke. Things are actually different on the ground. So hopefully by end of the month, maybe most of the people watakuwa medifa na yeye atakuwa na baki peke yake. So guys, we are one, and we are for one purpose. Let's join hands together and make this happen. Maandamano, mimi ndio mama yao. We have to come out and do it. Guys, we have to do it. It's either now or never. Thank you so much, Pipi, and have a good night. I'll actually send my ticket. Guys, Pipi has an event on when? On Saturday from 2 p.m. Pipi, this is the first time I'll come for that event. Ebu tokeni twendeni hiyo event huko. We air out these issues huko. Tukiwa wengi, we'll speak one language. We share a lot on the ground other than kuongea kwa social media. So see you there on Saturday at 2 p.m. Thank you so much.
Hapo sawa. See you on Saturday 2 p.m. Dolphin. It will also be a pleasure. Most of you hata mjai kutana na mimi face to face. This will be a good time to meet your host face to face. Keitan, and I also want to just say that for those who are also supporting us by buying tickets for other people, I'd like to say thank you so much and I appreciate. Keita Mufasa, how are you doing?
Hey, Pipita.
Oh.
Hey, how are you doing?
I am well. I hope you are as well.
Manze, I've had the reason hata nimekuja hapa is just to mention just a few things. I think we must be aware. It's always situation awareness can never beat anything, because the government wants us to believe what they want, what the narrative that they're creating. Now I'll tell you, Gen Z is unajua hii wiki imekuwa tu mapambano, because the fight has been that the Gen Zs don't know who the leader is, they don't know what they're choosing is. And we don't have to have a leader right now. We just have to know that overhaul. Nyinyi wote mtoke. That's the rule. All of you have served in government over past due, and there's no change that has happened. I'll be very brief. And tuliletewa economic hitman. Health nini sector imeungua. Education imeungua na infrastructure imeungua. From the 844 to now grading system in America. And I think they're trying to destroy what was substantial in terms of building the young people in Kenya. No. 844 was very strategic. If you look at 844 system, mimi nilikuja huku. Once I finished 844, nilikuja huku. And I swear to God, I beat a lot of people here, Maju. Their education is just so supportive. So it just decreases. Now unajua nini, when other people now, when you destroy the education funding model, now 50,000 people cannot join university, vitu kama hizo. But Pipita, I hope I'll be there listening. I won't be there. I cannot attend, but nitalipia watu pia ticket. But I support the movement that you're doing. Wewe na co-host I'm left to say. But I support the movement. It is good that we discuss this thing because civic education is the thing. Hawa watu wanaogopa. When you are learning, when you are knowledgeable, when you know the game that they are playing, that is their fear. Because you no longer play the game. So that is where the initiative of change comes in. Lazima tubadilishe hii kitu. Naona because looking at the interest of if you look at the Indians, Asians, even whites, they protect their people. Why are we blacks selling our interest for the few of the who claim that they are ruling the majority? Haitafanyika. And nataka kuambia mtu huyo Kasongo, I wanted to remember that leader who was in Romania. Alikuwa anaitwa Nikolai. Your time is coming. Yeah, your time is due. And when that time comes, it will feel like everything is falling apart. There is no way our generations will have to live depending on the fate of a few. You don't get to choose our fate. Nathan Kwambie, it's very sad because PLO described it in its true form. They are trying to hold on to power, Pepita. Pepita, you cannot hold on to power because you know where power lies. Power lies in the people that you are ruling. So by them trying to hold on that power, they are failing every day by day. Unaenda unajenga 1.2 billion church, unatuambia ati, what will I tell God? Which God are you serving? We tunaona watu huko Baringo penye unatoka Sugoi wako kwa nini classroom ya nini mabati, and you want to build a 1.2 billion man. Ungshaya wena. Even South Africans are joining us. There is no way. Let me tell you, the Gen Z are the quiver of the revolution, and you cannot stop that shit. We might not have direction, but we are the arrows and the spears and the bullets. We are the ones who go, what waliuliwa? Did any of you millennials or boomers die? Mulienda huko kupigana na watu. Let me tell you, we know what is coming ahead. And let me, aluta continua. If there is any Gen Z here, we shall not give up. It has just started. So Pepita, go ahead, man. Thank you for the platform. And I join me in late time, but until you nini ukihost nini, I hope I'll be there kusikiza. I don't know if you'll be on YouTube or another platform so that we can view it. Watu wenye tuko nje. But I wish you'd communicate that.
All right. So basically, Home Run at 2 anniversary will be happening at place inaitwa Rustic Heaven hapo Ngata Rongai. And it will be celebrating me hosting 2 years of Home Run with PP here on X Spaces. Wale wamekuwa na mimi hapa hivi wamejua every weekday from 4 to 9 tumekuanga hapa discussing various social issues. So somebody just said you need to meet us. Walisema make sure you meet us. So I went and met the owners of Rustic. They have told me that if I get 50 people to attend the event, then I can access the location for free. So ndo maana unaona tuna buy tickets, wale wenye mko nje mnabaia wenye wako Kenya wenye wanaweza attend. Now, the event is meant to launch. I'm supposed to launch a 3-month project that is meet and greet. Tutakuwa tuna meet every 3 months. The other one is a secret. I will tell you when we get there on Saturday. And of course, the event will also have a chat because it's a meet and greet. Kuna time tutazima mziki, watu wajuane majina, and we will have a conversation. As you can see in the poster that I've shared on the pinned tweet, is the theme is forging change using online media. So for the past 2 years I've been here, I have been observing how the government has been reacting to social media, how the public has used social media to voice. Tumekuwa na spaces hapa kwa spaces, president ameongea hata kama imeleta issue ya kupigana nini, but the truth of the matter is social media actually made the president come over. Social media mobilized June 25th. It mobilized Sabasaba. So social media has a lot of impact. So the conversation we'll be having will be an open space at Rustic, because they have a good open space. We'll be having a space. Watu watakuwa natusikiza na kuwatch live. It will be live on Twitter live. I'll try and also put it live on YouTube as well, so that mnaweza stream muone kenye kinaendelea pale. We'll be doing a conversation, so we'll do like a 1.5 hour conversation pale hivi kwenye Rustic. Wale ambao wanataka kuongea, where the opinion will be airing. We'll also be having coverage. What I know is Dark Dave will be covering that event. So there will be also recordings on our YouTube channel HRWP. So pale kwa hizo recordings tutakuwa tumeweka what transpired on that event. We'll also be having other games and all that. So that is what I have planned out for you on that particular day. And of course the tickets are just 1,000 bob each kwa wale wanaokuja, na pia kuna something complimentary that Rustic Heaven is also organizing for you when you buy a ticket. So yeah, that is basically what I have, Keita, coming up this Saturday on 19th. Malia.
Yes, Fifita, umeuliza your crash out. Tunajua I'm sorting your crash.
Wewe weka pesa Malia.
Wacha kuniita Malia wa nini, and I'm like your mother. I'm now trying to connect you. Wacha kutokanga hapa alafu unaenda kupika kwa mabachelor. I'm going to cook now. Ukute maji moto iko hapo. Put hot meal is there ready for you kutoka kwa show. So that's a project I'm willing to invest in. Lakini ukipeleka mwanaume tunakosana, by the way. So ujue I'm not paying for a man. Make sure crash yako ule dem mwenye umekuwa ukikrashia huyo ndo nataka kulipia huyo.
Wewe wacha nikwambie Malia, weka pesa alafu wewe nitakuonyesha crash wangu. Weka tu pesa.
Utanionyesha?
Wewe weka tu, nunulia ticket alafu nitakuonyesha picha. Watu mtaka kunitega hapa nyinyi eti tuambie umepata crash wako. Ndio kesho kwa timeline niambie ndio uambie yule crash wako. Nope. Wacha wewe. Anyway,
I'm very confidential. I'm very confidential. Mimi siendagi ku unleash. I'm very confident. Ukinionyesha imeishia hapo.
Sawa, nitakutumia.
Ukiconfess imeishia hapo. Hakuna mtu mwingine unaona venye we are working hard for you to get married bana. We are working hard over here.
Siwacha hata nipate pesa jamani. Mniombeni hata nipate pesa. Unajua kama ningekuwa na pesa ningesema tu watu tokeni, nimewalipia tickets, kujeni kwa event. Lakini sasa ona, alafu unataka kunilazimisha nioe. Ndio nianze ndio hii pesa hata haijatosha tena uniambie unaona unafanya ma event tu na ulipi, haufanyi vitu zote. Wewe.
Nikwambia siri nani Pipita, unajua the way to get money is to get married. Unasikianga he who finds a wife finds a good thing and receives favor from the Lord. So ukipata bibi ndio sasa favor from the Lord, milango zako zitaanza kufunguka hapo. Unaona? Na tutaki mwenyewe utamuoa sasa uko na pesa alafu kumbe amekufuata tu ya pesa. You want someone who loves you genuinely. Tuko pamoja?
Nakuona.
Acha nisiseme mengi zaidi.
Nakuona. Asante sana. Asante.
I'm only praying for you to meet the right person by the way.
Mungu akusikie.
Nilikuwa nasema you know George ananiambia story ya kuvote. Bro, if you don't have anyone good who is on the ballot, kana kura yako. Usipigia mtu kura. Those ones of like Raila is not an option, so unaenda unapigia Ruto. After Ruto kuingia sasa tunaanza kulia machozi. Kwanza watu wenye wanavotianga mtu, they are the ones who cry more than hata wenye wako mvotia. Wako hapo, oh my God, Ruto alitudanganya, Ruto sijui what. Yani mi kwanza I'm just tired of this. Supporters wa Ruto wenye walikuwaga wako very arrogant. Now they are the ones who are crying the loudest. If you don't have a good person on the ballot, kaa na kura yako ama ukae kwa nyumba. There's no point of going to vote for somebody who is going to come atuangaishe hapa hivi. Then unalia, you are crying more than even us who didn't want him. If there is no good option, just or ukiona utaki kuvotia kina Wajakoya juu ya bangi and others, hakuna hata ukiwavotia they won't make it. But they just better stay with your vote. If there is nobody good on the ballot, instead of useme ati I hate Raila, so let me vote for Ruto. I hate Ruto, so let me vote for Raila. And yet you don't believe in this person. You know this thing of in Kenya we have this culture of tunachukua the lesser of the two evils. If they are evils, wachana nazo. By the way, it's better you don't even vote. Your conscience will be very clear. Than una vote ile out of sasa hakuna choice ingine tuko nayo, so let's vote for Matiang'i. Then after Matiang'i kuanza fujo is when now you are starting to cry like, oh my God, I didn't know this guy is this bad, but we didn't have a choice. Those kind of things, you always have a choice. Even abstaining is a choice. So kama hakuna mtu mzuri mwenye ako kwa ballot mwenye unaona you are convinced about, better just vote for governor and the rest, uache hata president ikiwa blank. By the way, that's what I was saying. I was not saying people don't go to vote, because hata kama there is nobody you like among the presidential vote, you can vote for governor and the rest. But sio lazima uvote. By the way, it's not a must for you to vote for a bad candidate, because that's how people ended up voting for Ruto. They were just like, Raila is not an option, so now there is no any other person you can vote. Wacha tuvotie Ruto. Ona sasa where we are. This guy is like a bandit. Yani is like he has hijacked the whole country. He has held the whole country hostage. It's Na kuna kitu ingine mbaya, like you are in a mat or a car or whatever, and the person who is driving is a mad person. Like ujui sasa hata where you'll end up. You can even end up in a ditch somewhere. And that's the kind of scenario we are in as Kenyans. It's like we are with this lunatic now who has taken over the vehicle. Hatuwezi mtoa kwa wheel. Ndo huyo, hatujui pale anatupeleka, hatujui ako na mpango gani na sisi. We are in a very bad spot, and it's because of this kind of thinking that wacha nivotie huyu juu sasa hatuna option. You always have an option. You'd rather even not vote. If at all the option is bad, achana nayo, wacha ikae. Your conscience will be clear that me, I didn't vote for a bad person, then baadaye nikuje niseme ati unajua alitudanganya sijui what not, and you always knew all through that this is a bad person, but you are like, okay, hatukuwa na option, so let me just vote for this person. That's a very childish way of thinking. Mimi nimesema if I'm not hata kwa hizo zingine governor, senator and what, if I see the options which are there, none of these people whom I believe in, I'll leave it blank. I'm not going to vote for mediocre people because there's no option. So now we are choosing the less of the two. Hakuna vitu kama hiyo. If I don't believe in your leadership, I won't vote. I won't vote for that, whatever, either it's senator or whatever. Nikiona tu ni garbage wote, I'd rather stay. I vote for those others. Ama hata nivotia mtu mwenye sijui kama NCA, I usually vote for people I don't know. But it's better when I don't know than I know you're a bad person and I'm still voting for you. Because in an option, you always have an option. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Malia Davis. Naona Dolphin ameinua mkono juu. Dolphin.
Sorry, I just wanted to confirm with Malia or anyone on the space who's understanding. Malia, the question is, you've said that you can vote for governor, MCA, MP, and Nini, the rest. But when it comes to presidential, una ignore. My question is that not a spoiled vote because it's not complete? Someone to educate me, please.
Wacha hiyo nichukue, hiyo ni kueducate Miss Dolphin kwamba ukipiga kura, unapoenda kupiga kura unapewa 6 ballot papers, sawa? Hebu acha nione if I'm right. Unapewa MCA, unapewa MP, unapewa governor, senator, women rep and president, sawa? So all of these are going into different ballot boxes. So your MCA needs to go kwa ballot MCA, your governor kwa governor. If any of this goes into the other ballot box, it's a spoiled vote. So for example, ukiamua vote alafu president usivote, that's not that's ujaribu vote hizo zingine, hizo zita vote, but your president, it will be a spoiled vote.
I hear you. And what if we decide, like, for instance, let's say to decide now 60% of the population waamue kunini kukosa kuvote for presidential seat. Is there a percentage for the threshold?
No. Vote.
If it's
Vote.
Raila and
Kura. Piga kura. Piga kura. Piga kura. Hakuna mambo ya zizi. Hakuna kulenga kupiga kura. Kila msemba ka vote. Kila msemba ka vote, Dolphin. What? Hiyo ndo kwanza lazima tu vote. Wow. Acha ndapo. We all must vote.
Yes, we must. But sasa Mali ameharibu. Si amesema kama tunaona kuna option, we nini? Tuna omit the president. Now I'm asking, what if ike sasa jioni atujamit nini a presidential vote ijamit threshold? What happens? See, this guy who's already the sitting president will continue serving the people, or what happens in such a situation?
Mtu wangu, sitaki hata kuielewa, sitaki kujua. Keita, just a minute, Dolphin. Just ni muhandle Keita. Acha tu ni muhandle. Dolphin, I don't want to understand you. I don't want to elevate you. Sitaki hata kufikiria kenye umefikiria. Sitaki hata kuwaza. Yani ni kwamba ukishika kura yako pale hivi, ukiona sura ya Ruto, ruka, piga kura pale kwa Maraga ama upige kwa mwingine isipokuwa huyo, kwa chaguo ni lako, lakini vote. Nataka tupige kura, waseme ndio tulipiga kura huyu. Ndio tujue kama mlipigia Ruto kura 2028 wakati tutakuwa tunashaftiwa, tujue. Si mambo ya 60%. 60% tulijaribu 2022 and look at where we are, jobless for 2 years now. Keita, talk to us.
Unajua, I just land very fast so that Dolphin aelewe. When Malia was talking about withdrawing your vote, I think what she meant was tuanze kudeal na ma MCA, ma women rep, people who affect the community directly. If you look at the impeachment of the deputy president, sini MP walivote hiyo kitu. So imagine if we were holding our MPs accountable. So Malia is saying that before we focus on the president, of which our focus is still on that idiot, but to focus hapa chini so that we can bring this thing up. Let us focus down here, the people who affect us. If we know our MP, we can. Akianza hiyo ujinga anaenda. We know our governor, our women rep, wakianza hizo ujinga wanaenda kuongea kwa government, they are gone. They're as good as gone. So the reason why Mali alisema hivyo, you can even withdraw. Ni your presidency, hata I don't even think. Itabidi tungoje prezo mwingine. Jua huu mwenye anaenda kuwekwa. Let me tell you, I don't even think Ruto will be there 2027. There is someone who is going to come in. Ngoja tu. So unajua alisema 2 years too. So there is someone has to come in. The political tensions are too high for even Ruto to be on the ballot box. It's too much heat. There is a pending case, ICC, still no witnesses, and there are more witnesses. The case has been revived. But I would say this, let us focus on the local government. I'm an MP because they are the ones who will tell, we need you to impeach who? Tony Ruto. Because if they removed Gashagua and you claim that Ruto is that, hey, rather mngeacha high cousins. So you see where Mali is going with the thing. It's not that we cannot vote. But that's nikwambie, if that ballot comes up and I see Maraga, of which I know Martha Karua is always there. She's a paid puppet. So Martha Karua, Matiang'i, Maraga, Ruto, Omkia Omtata, those are the 5 that I know. Those are running. Now, any of those, there is none of them, even Maraga, we are saying, because you remember when Omkia Omtata wanted to run for president, aliambiwa nini? Go look for money. Why? Because these guys who are even running that IBC, why is IBC not made right now? It is a paid thing. Lazima ulipe pesa. So we might not know who the president will be, but we want to know who our local leaders, of which that starts from the MCA, going to the women rep, going to the county, the governor, senator, tunataka kujua watu. Leave president, it's too big. So these are the people we look for so that we can affect immediate change. That is what we want. So from the MCA akifanya upuzi, mismanagement of CDF, hizo vitu, we have to hold this person accountable. Let us not worry. The president is the president. Huyu jamaa anatumia executive, judiciary to fuck us all up. So before, we will still focus on him, but our main focus should be on the local government. We start from the governor kwenda chini. MP, MCA, senator, our to what, a women rep. These are the people we are supposed to know. If you're in your county, know these people so that we can hold them accountable. That is the thing. Thank you, Pepita.
All right, thank you, Keita. I think we will have Red Hand finish the space for us tonight. I don't want to go past 10 p.m. We'll be back here again tomorrow for trending topic. We have been live since 4 p.m. So we'll be back here again for Wednesday's trending topic conversation. But right now, I want to bring in Red Hand, and of course, just remind you, you can be part of Home Run with PP at 2 anniversary. You can buy a ticket right now. Mkibai tunafika 20. No, I have a 9 a.m. meeting with the organizers. Nende aliniuliza leo eti, umeuza ngapi? Kambia I had sold 8. Akaanza kuingia dukuduku. So
Bana, ticket moja ni ngapi?
1,000.
Weka Pepita tunulie waseti ko. Wacha watu wakuje hiyo miti.
Aya, weka
Just send the
basi.
word.
Wacha nikuwekee namba uweke. Nita update number of tickets. But then we are buying all those tickets, alafu we will also issue them openly hapa kwa space. Kuna mwenye ameitisha anaitwa Grace amesema thank you Bionic, so we have taken your details Grace. See you on Saturday. So Keita, let me send you the details hapo hivi kwa DM yako. Jina yangu na nani.
Ingia DM, we discuss further.
Red Hand Republican. Sasa talk to us. Final words for us tonight. Leo umeongea kweli kweli. Umekuwa more than wasted.
Yes, Pepita. Leo yenyewe nimeongea sana. But I never shy away from answering questions whenever people have them. Yeah, because that's the only way we spread civic education. Even me, I'm never afraid of asking questions and being educated as well. I also want to thank the speakers who have spoken right now, especially Keita, Dolphin, and Mali. It was an interesting discussion you guys were having on political representation, what's important and what it's not. what is not, how important it is to focus on your local representatives, as opposed to just voting for a presidential representative that basically will not help you. Revenge politics, as you've noticed, is only used for presidential elections, but there's nobody who votes for an MP to revenge against another. So we should always focus on our local politics as much as we can. Secondly, I want to tell people that you may think that you are not a member of a political party, but you are. If you look at, you can always dial *509#. That is *509# to join to look at the roster in the register of political parties and find out which party that you are in. Most of you will be surprised that you're members of ODM, UDA, and Jubilee, and you've never known. So you can please decide to give these people a more faint voice by deregistering yourself. You just dial *509#, follow the prompts, and you can register for a party, or you can deregister for any other party. Right? And also, finally, I want to tell people that Maraga is on Citizen TV. He is not speaking at the moment, but kuna times amepewa little 1 minute or 2 to speak, but right now he's not speaking. They're showing some other. I've left them wakiangalia mambo ya Naivas, wakiongea mambo ya Naivas. So I'm guessing by 10 p.m. hiyo ndio atakuwa sasa na hiyo 1 hour, 1.5 hours of really answering questions from both Yvonne Okwara and also from us who are commenting on citizen pages or sending or calling in to ask questions. So please tune in to that so that we cannot be those Maraga supporters who are on the space at 10 p.m. when he's really speaking to our issues. As well, we'll be able to know what we stand to gain if Maraga becomes president. Okay, and lastly, Pipita, thank you very much for hosting us today. Thank you for being an excellent moderator. Thank you for also offering tickets for us. I'll be sure to look into my 2 shillings. I see how much I can buy and how many tickets I can also buy for others. I'll get back to you I heard you say deadline is Friday. So I'll get back to you on that by Friday so that I can know what I can do. And yeah, again, thank you very much for hosting us and have a blessed night, everybody.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Red Hand, and of course, everybody who has spoken to us tonight on Home Run with Pipi. Of course, we will be back here again tomorrow. Kama kawaida sisi tunaendelea. Home Run with Pipi runs each and every weekday from 4 p.m. all the way to 9 p.m. East African time. Also, you can subscribe to us on YouTube. HRWP is the channel. Unaandika only 4 letters on your YouTube. And you can see our latest video. A new video is coming up this weekend. Is also featuring one of our very favorite speakers, Grace Olwande, of course. So yeah, a lot of things are also coming up on the way this Saturday. We also have our new meet and greet, and that is our first of all of many Home Run with PP at 2. Yes. So 2 years ago, I was forced into this, and I found myself now doing it full time. So right now we are celebrating our way forward. Last year we were not able to do that because tulikuwa kwa street tukipigania nchi, but this time around tumepata chance. We will have a conversation. We will sit down, have a conversation, discuss on why it is important to keep online media alive, and of course with a focus on change. Easy conversation ambazo tunazihave hapa hivi, so we're going to be having it on the ground as well. So it's going to be a very robust conversation, and I hope the guys who will attend will have a story to tell come Monday. Yes. So for me, I think that is all I had, and I'll let you Go umesikia venye Malia Davis amesema kwamba I am notoriously bachelor, so the bachelor has to go and prepare something to eat. Tutakutana na nyinyi kesho masaa kama ya saa 10 jioni. Haya.
Good night, Pipita.
Good night. Bye bye, guys.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome. Home Run with Pippi.
is fucking